Here's the SIFT window after opening, and again, it opens as a Lambert conformal over conus. We're going to be looking at goes west data, so I'm going to change the projection to this. So here I have goes west centered at 137. Going to load up some data. This is data I've downloaded from class and put in a directory on my local machine. So it's showing up here. And I'm going to load up bands 16, 13, 12, 10, and 8. These are full disk images, so they might take a bit to load. What I'm looking for is how to make an AirMass RGB. So I saw this image on the SIM satellite blog, and I thought, well, I can do this in SIFT, and I'll make a little demo on how to do it. The first thing you really need, though, is how do you make this AirMass RGB? And that's shown on this particular website. I'm going to clip this out and save it somewhere else so that it's a little bit easier to see. So here we have a new tab. I'll just put it into a temporary folder. So here's all the definitions. I'm going to store this off to the side, and then I'll go back and look, and I'll see that the data that I want have been loaded. So here we have band 8 to 6.19 micrometers, and I can step through these. I'm not gonna hit the animate button. I'll just step through. So these have by default been loaded with this particular color enhancement. I'm going to change the color enhancement for the water vapor. So you right click on the color bar there and then change it. I know exactly where it is after doing this, but I'm kind of searching for it here. It's WVDiff. I've just passed it. So sorry about this. Scroll right back up, and there it is. Move it up, click. So we've changed it, and now we're going to change doing the same thing. So you click on it, right click on it. So a left click to make it, and then right click on it, and then change the color map. And then you choose one of the preloaded color enhancements. So here we have, I'm just making it with the water vapor that's with the yellow is dry. Now the other three I'm going to change to IR color winter. And you'll notice I don't have to have it visible in the frame when I change the color enhancement. There might even be a way to change all the color enhancements at once, but right now I'm doing this just one by one. So once I have all the color enhancements, I'll just step through them. IR color cloud winter. We'll step through the different ones. So there's band 16, and then band 8. Band 8 here, 10, 12, 13, and 16. I'm actually not going to use band 16 in this particular video, but I did load it. First thing I'm going to do is make the water vapor difference. That's the red part of the AirMass RGB. So I'm taking a difference between bands 8 and 10. And what I'm going to do next is change the default. So change the color enhancement, and I'll change the bounds as well. But first we'll change the color enhancement. We'll just scroll all the way up to the top and make it, and choose this IR enhancement at the very top. And there we go. And then we're going to change the values here to be the same values as are used in the RGB. So I believe that's a minus 26.2. 2.6, something like that. So I'm going to change it so it looks like, so then you see the exact values that are being used in the RGB. Next thing we're going to make is the ozone difference. So we go back up to create algebraic, and we make the ozone difference, call it the ozone difference. This is the difference field between band 12 and band 13. I'm going to double check here to make sure it's not band 13 minus 12, but I believe it is 12 minus 13. Yep. So then we're going to click on that. It creates it. We'll change the color enhancement on that because I don't like all these grays. And I'm going to, of course, the default minus 164 to 164, we're going to change to, I believe it was minus 43.2 to 6.7. Yep, just double checking. So we'll enter those in. I'm having a little trouble typing sometimes today. Now make this 6.7 for the maximum. So that's the ozone difference values that are going to be part of the green. The blue part is just the 6.19. So we're making an RGB. So you create RGB, create composite. I'm going to delete this because there's a shorthand way to do that. So we'll delete that, and then we'll right-click, and you see Create RGB Composite. There are three things off the screen there, R, G, and B. We're going to choose the G. So here's the Ozone as the green part of the AirMass RGB, and we're going to change the bounds of that. Let's move this. We'll move this out and make it a little bit bigger so it's a bit easier to see. So the first thing to do is remind yourself it's minus 43.2 to 6.7. So those are going to be entered as the green part of this RGB. And then we will do the same thing for the red. The red is the water vapor difference. So click on the red, choose water vapor difference, and then adjust the bounds of that to, is it minus 26 something and 0.6. So now we have the R and the G are loaded, and we'll look at the blue, which is the 6.19. And the definitions for that, notice at the bottom it's inverted. So instead of going from minus 64 to minus 29, we'll be going from minus 29 to minus 64. That's what the inversion means. So you flip the scales. Instead of going from cold to warm, you go from warm to cold. And we're going to add those in, and then we'll look at the RGB. So here's the RGB we've created. We'll zoom in a little bit right now. We'll zoom in on the region over the North Pacific, and that looks very similar to what we saw on the Sims satellite blog. So you can make RGBs pretty simply with SIFT.